I'm Karen Borda. We've got some breaking news as there is now a verdict in the trial of Dr. Raynaldo Ortiz, who is accused of tampering with IV bags. Our Andrea Lucia has just stepped out of the federal courthouse in Dallas with the jury's decision. Andrea.
Yeah, Karen, guilty on all 10 counts. He was charged on 10 counts, 5 for tampering with an IV bag, 5 for adulterating a drug, the IV fluids in those bags. The jury found him guilty on all counts. They also answered yes for an additional question of whether that crime resulted in harming someone. This is really the ultimate sentence, the ultimate verdict, I'll say, on the prosecution's side.
This is exactly what they were looking for. I know you weren't alone in the courtroom. I'm curious as to who all was there inside the courtroom when they read the verdict, and what was the reaction?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had the attorneys, we had Dr. Ortiz himself, and the jurors. Also present were members of the media. We had a sketch artist there, and sitting in one of the back rows, we had the husband of Dr. Melanie Kaspar. She is a doctor who died allegedly from one of these IV bags that was poisoned. I say allegedly because she was not included in the victim count that he was charged with. They did not bring her case forward. In fact, she's not the only one that they didn't charge him with because they said there just wasn't enough evidence. They charged him in connection to the 5 cases where they felt that there was evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, and obviously the jury agreed. The 10 counts are related to 5 IV bags. In all of those cases, there was surveillance video that captured Dr. Ortiz taking an IV bag out, coming back, putting it back in what's called the warmer, the storage cabinet, where they hold IV bags to have them ready for surgery. And then they linked those bags to, in 4 cases, surgeries that ended in complications. In one case, it was a bag that was not yet used, but they found it, they tested it, they found that there was substances in it, drugs that shouldn't have been there.
And Andrea, let's talk for a moment about sentencing. I know that sentencing in federal court is handled a little bit differently than it is in district court. Tell us, if you can, explain how it works and what kind of a sentence that Dr. Ortiz is looking at.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to have to do a little bit of math, but just to talk you through how it works, you know, if we were over at the Dallas County Courthouse, the jury would now take up in most cases, the question of sentencing. In federal court, it's always going to be the judge, and it's not going to be immediate. We're not going to find out what the sentence is for possibly weeks. We're not even going to find out when the next court date is for a couple of days. There's going to be a completely different hearing for the sentencing, and it's going to be handled by the judge. The judge is required to look at sentencing guidelines, and we know based on those guidelines, Ortiz is looking at 20 years max for most of the charges, 10 years for one of the charges. So I'm doing the math in my head, about 190 years, I think, is the max. Obviously, that is well past his lifetime, and so really he's looking at spending the rest of his life in prison.
And Andrea, I know you've been covering this case for a very long time, and you've been in court since the beginning of the trial. Is there anything in particular that stood out to you?
I mean, I'll just say at the end, really the rush to get this over with. There are people who have been here every single day of this trial. Again, the husband of Dr. Melanie Kaspar, even though she was not one of the cases that he was charged with in this trial, he has been here every single day. He testified on the stand and was sitting in the gallery every day since. He and others, friends of the family, were here. They went to lunch and told me they bought their lunch and got the call that there was a verdict, threw away their lunches and ran upstairs because they wanted to be here when that verdict is read. We're hoping to catch up with them when they walk out here. But yeah, just, you know, there are people who've been in this for the long run, and just that antsiness, that anxiety, knowing that we finally have a verdict. that is what has stood out to me in just, I'll say, the last 15 minutes in which this has happened.
Right. All right, Andrea, thank you very much. We appreciate that update. Again, Dr. Raynaldo Ortiz has been found guilty on all of the counts against him. We're going to have much more coverage later on CBS News Texas On Air and on our stream. I'm Karen Borda. Thank you for watching.